Do you wish that the data inside of your spreadsheets could automatically sort itself? Or maybe when you finish a task, instead of having to notify someone else to review that information, or maybe when a task is completed, the system knows to automatically send that information to your boss instead of having you have to type it all out into a repetitive email. Or maybe you even just wish that any time that the status update on a project was completed, the due date gets adjusted accordingly. That's the beauty of using no-code solutions like SmartSuite. Using automation is baked into the core of the system. And if you're not using automation inside of SmartSuite, you haven't even begun to scratch the surface of the potential in terms of time that this tool can save you. You can set up conditional triggers to run and complete tasks that you need done inside of your data to run like clockwork in the background so that you don't have to wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night realizing you forgot to finish that other task again. So if you're new to no-code automation, new to SmartSuite, or just want to get as close as possible to having the robots do all your work for you without actually getting fired, then you've come to the right place. Let's check it out. Hey, how's it going? This is Eric over at SmartSuite Solutions. We're here to help save you time by finding automated and no-code solutions to keep you from doing the work that you hate to continue doing the work that you love. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down automation services inside of SmartSuite to show you how you can find conditional triggers to implement actions to update information automatically without having to even push a button inside of SmartSuite. I will be using a database that I used in a previous video going over how to set up a meal plan and recipe index inside of SmartSuite. So be sure to check out that video if you feel like you missed anything or want to get caught up before we start going into this video. But before we get started, I do want to say that I am still offering free 30-minute consultations for anybody that's interested in trying to get some basic automation set up inside of their own system. If you see this video and you like what you see but aren't really sure how to implement it, feel free to book a call and I'm happy to help get this whole meal plan automation service set up for you. Or if there's something else that you're interested in, please feel free to reach out and see what automation can do for you. The link for that will be in the description of this video, but you can also go to solvecyclesolutions.com/30-minutes. Now that housekeeping is out of the way, I want to come back into SmartSuite. We just finished building the weekly grocery list. But like I said before, there are some hiccups here still that are kind of a pain. And the big ones are that while we have this process to have updating records for the meal plans that we're working on, I have to come in and manually toggle these recipes as cooked in order for the next record to generate. It can't automatically do that on its own. Additionally, we're having to make repetitive actions by opening up this meal planning calendar, linking the specific recipe that we want here, but then having to go into the grocery list and add that same recipe to the grocery list. So there is a little bit of extra work that is kind of a pain and can help prevent you from using the system effectively. So automations are simple tasks that can be done through SmartSuite based on particular triggers and conditions. So it can be something as simple as when you mark a status as complete, it will open a new record somewhere. Or it might be something a little more complex of saying, hey, when we mark this status as send to someone, it can fire off an email. So there's a lot of ways that you can look into this. The main automations that I'm going to be showing you today are how to set certain conditions for triggers, how to update records with these conditional triggers, searching for records, and using a linking system that can be automated without you having to do that every single time. So hopping back into the actual meal plan calendar, the goal that we want to have with this automation is that whenever the due date for a recipe is occurring, we're going to mark this as complete. And that may be that you're not actually completing that dinner or you're not actually cooking that. That's fine. The goal here is that we want to make sure that while this meal was cooked, we have a week in advance so that when we start meal prepping next week, everything is already lined up so we don't have to go in and keep marking everything as complete on its own. So to do this, we're going to hop back into the automation. And the goal here is we want the specific condition to be when the meal and date time is today. So we'll click this particular instance. And the nice thing with due date is that because it has a start and end date, you can specify when you want this automation to start on that time. But here, what's most important is the end date. And then the status, you can have date actions. There's several different ways that this information can be pulled up, but what we want is for it to say today. And what SmartSuite will do is it's going to be monitoring in the background this due date, and it will keep checking that is the due date today? Is the due date today? And once that due date finally hits and is today, we can then know that SmartSuite will say, all right, the trigger condition is met. We can now perform this simple action. And that simple action in this case, when we click this plus button, you'll see there's lots of different things we can do. Additionally, you can use some integrations to go to certain tools that you may have, like Google Calendar, Google Drive, Google Sheets, whatever you wish to use. In this case, I'm just updating this record here. When I hit update record, it's going to specify that this is updating the specific record that met the criteria to be triggered. And all we have to do is go to status. We're going to hit field values and hit cooked. And then once that's done, at the very bottom, you can't really see it on my screen, there is an add automation button, and you click that, it's going to pop up this, is the automation switched off, and you can switch it on, and then we're done here. Now, one thing to know about automations is that if you're doing this, it may not automatically trigger for records that were previously in existence before the automation is completed. So in this case, you may need to come back and either manually do this for a little bit, or you could go back and just duplicate the records for the same day and delete the old one, and that should help get this process started for you. The next one is a little more complicated, and what I want to show you is how to link the recipes both to the meal plan and to the weekly grocery list. So how this is going to work, we're going to go back into our automation, and I'm going to create a new one. And this one is just going to be called Syncing Groceries with Meal Plan. And so this trigger, we're going to have it be a specific record instance, again in meal plan. Here, though, what we're going to do is we're going to be monitoring the link to test recipes section. And instead of having to insert a specific record, what we're actually going to say is when the status is not empty. So this means that let's just hop back into my test zone here. So currently this record for the meal plan is empty. There are no recipes linked to February 13th. So that means that this status is empty and no automation is going to run here. But if I link a record, that means it is no longer empty and the system knows we need to run that here. How are we going to get it to link the recipe records? It's actually there's some logic involved that may be a little confusing, but once we have that set up, the process is very straightforward. So we're going to have to find the grocery list record. So instead of switching to we have this all set up. In my case, it's going to be in the test zone. We're going to specify the table that we're looking for, which is going to be weekly grocery list. It says that you can search for multiple records or a single record. In this case, we're just looking for one record. And here, we want to leave these items alone because we can leave the title, that's fine. Here, I'm going to be looking for, I'm just going to put this as finding this week's meal plan or grocery list. And this is where it gets a little complicated because what we're looking for is the grocery order date. Again, we're going to be doing the end date. So in this case, instead of saying the grocery order date is on today, we want this to say that the grocery order date is on or after today. Now, the reason that is, let's just take a look back in the meal plan compared to the weekly grocery list. I am only looking for the recipes that I'm going to be cooking for this week. But the grocery list that we're using is going to be done today. In this system that I built, I'm not setting up multiple grocery lists weeks in advance. I'm actually doing this on a week-by-week basis. So as this list develops, it's never going to look back and try and sync to an older grocery list. It's actually going to just sync to the only one that is ahead, and that is going to be the one that is, in this case, today, February 9th. So coming back in here, additionally, if you're concerned, you can also set additional requirements. I do have it set up for meal planning stage so that nothing gets accidentally triggered or in case something goes wrong. That's just more of a fail-safe. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to then update records again. But in this case, we're not updating the meal plan. If we click the drop-down menu here where it says table down to weekly grocery list, you'll see that the action changed from the condition inside of the meal plan to finding this week's grocery list. So it's going to update the record inside of the grocery list. So here, what I'm going to do is I went ahead and changed the record title or the linked record title to recipes to groceries. And so what this will allow me to do is I can add fields from the calendar meal plan trigger. I can then integrate the link to test recipes. So as soon as we mark a meal completed inside of the meal plan, the system will run and link that to groceries for the week. So there is one thing I want to show you just because this will not work properly the way it's set up, but I want to show you why it's doing that and how it's doing that, and then show you how to fix it because I've had this issue multiple times with different things I've been working on here. So if I hit add automation, I'm going to switch this on. And now we're all set. So I'm going to pull this over and again show you there's nothing currently connected to the recipe grocery list. So say I want to do on Tuesday next week, but once that's done, I can hop over into the grocery list. You'll see, boom, chicken tacos are listed as a recipe on the grocery list. So I can pull this now up without having to manually link anything. I can look at all the ingredients there on that list. But if I now go back in and put on Monday the 12th, I'm going to have Spanish rice. If I link that and save, and I'm going to hop over to the weekly grocery list, you'll see that while Spanish rice is there, the chicken tacos are gone. So what's happening here is the automation is actually only taking the data from the specific record that we are syncing the meal plan to. So that means that if I put whatever is in the Tuesday block or the 12th block, it's only going to put the recipes there. And if I put things on the 13th, it's only going to map things there. So what we need to do is add an additional qualifier with the link to test recipes. I'm going to have to come back in, and instead of searching from fields from trigger, I'm going to have to go down to the find this week's groceries list and scroll down to recipes to groceries. So it's basically saving the information that we currently already have inside of this record, but then adding this additional information inside of it. But now that we have this all set up, let's test this again. So say I'm doing this for today. I'm going to have chicken tacos. And the other nice thing is with SmartSuite, I can actually hit Control R or Command R on my computer. It will save that information in the record, and I can keep jumping through all of the individual records I have without having to constantly save, close, and then reopen. So here I've got beef tacos. Say I want to do mac and cheese. And if we go over to weekly groceries now, you'll see that we have multiple things lining up all at once. That really is everything with SmartSuite though. So if you're happy with getting this just set up and you only want to use SmartSuite, fantastic. I really do hope that this all helps you. But if you do, like I said, if you do want to work a little bit more just to make it a little bit easier for you, be sure to check out my next video where I will be going through these other advanced functions that, again, are a little more complicated, but in the long run are definitely worth it. So I hope you got plenty of value out of this, and I really hope that you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think in the comments. And of course, since this is a new channel, would love for you to subscribe and to keep coming back and see what other content that people are asking for. But thank you again for watching. That's everything I've got to say on this. So take care, and I'll see you in the next video.